Hello, friends. Hello, friends. A tradition unlike any other.
Oh, my goodness. In your life, have you seen anything like that?
There it is! Adam Scott, a life changer. Mashed potato!
Here it comes.
This is the 19th Tee podcast. Kieran Marsh and Nathan Drudy back with you for another week. Drews, to the 2021-22 Australasian PGA Tour summer has come to an official close, courtesy of the NT PGA this weekend just gone. We're going to get to that and a review of the complete summer very shortly, but aptly, given it is our review of the summer podcast, we are joined by the man who tops the Order of Merit, a very good friend of this podcast, a gentleman who, if you've listened to this show before, may be spending some of his winnings on some table tennis lessons, Drudes. He is, of course, in some circles known as Jeb Idire. We know him as Jed Morgan, and he is your 2021-2022 Order of Merit winner. So as we bring him in, Drudes, we're going to crack open a beer thanks to our great friends at Gage Roads and toast to your victory, young man. Jed, congratulations.
Thank you very much. I hope that beer tastes nice.
It does.
Why don't I ever? You never tell me to organise a beer to get cracked over it.
Well, it's non-restrictive. To be fair, we've had a few of your colleagues on in the last couple of months who, much to our surprise, they've joined the call drinking. So you this won't surprise you at all. But the first was Anthony Quayle, who joined us from a hotel room at the Coogee Bay Hotel with a glass of Shiraz. And then I think was it the following week, Drudes, or was it?
Yes. Yeah.
I think it was the following week. We had young Aaron Wilkin on, who joined us with an entire bottle of red. So he won up to Quayle because Quayle had the glass, but Wilkes had the entire bottle of red. So look, mate, it's what I'll say to you is tonight, any time you join us moving forward, it's an open invitation. You're always welcome to have a beer with us or any poison of your choice.
Sounds good. I will for sure next time. Don't worry.
We mentioned you were crowned officially middle of last week. How does it feel? It's odd, right? Because I feel as though it's been the worst kept secret in Australian golf. It feels like it's been coming for a while, but the official news came last week. How have you reflected on it in the days since being the Order of Merit winner? We'll get to all the things that come with it, but just your immediate thoughts on reflecting on what's been a great summer for you.
Well, basically, I left. My intention was to go and play both of the events in WA, but only ended up playing Kalgoorlie because I had a couple of things going on at home. So I ended up coming home knowing that I'd, obviously couldn't be beaten, which was nice. The only real threat was Windred, and I guess, I hope he doesn't hear me say this, but fortunately he missed the cut and helped out, I guess, a few of the guys at the top end of that Order of Merit. And so that helped a lot. And I knew obviously from that point on that I pretty much couldn't be beaten. And then came home, and on the flight home or however I got it, I don't know, I caught COVID. So spent 7 days inside obviously and packed up my house because I was moving at the same time. And then my first day out, I was told there was going to be like a couple of interviewers and journalists and stuff about, at RQ waiting just to do an interview and stuff, and I turned up and there's like 7 cameras. It was my first day out of isolation. I've got to stand in front of 7 cameras. So it was pretty full on, actually. A few channels there, which is nice. And yeah, it was pretty cool. It was pretty cool for it to be officially announced. Had Roger Davis there and stuff. And yeah, something pretty special. I did not expect to be doing it, that's for sure.
Couldn't drop any F-bombs in those interviews either.
No, I couldn't. It was hard. So it was difficult. It's always difficult for me not to swear.
Oh, that's why you come on this show and you can let it all steam.
Exactly.
Has it all sunk in yet, mate? I know obviously it has been, as Marshy mentioned, the worst kept secret, and obviously mathematically it's there was still some permutations that could happen at the back end, but it was inevitable really that you were going to be winning the Order of Merit. Has it sunk in the last week that you've got all these amazing things lined up in the next handful of months anyway?
Yeah, I guess it did. Yeah, it pretty much sunk in after like I guess the WA PGA. I just was like, oh, cool. That's I can't be beaten. That's a cool thing. And then for it to be officially announced was nice. And just something was so like just an amazing feeling, like to top that. Something I never thought I would do, especially for it to happen so quick. And I was just, fortunately there was no other $1 million events, and that worked in a lot of favour for me. And but yeah, I would say it's sunk in now, which is nice, and I've got a lot to look forward to over the next few months, and I've pretty much put the full schedule together, so it's pretty busy, which is I didn't have that before, and I'm just so fortunate now to have that.
Plenty to come, as you mentioned, Jed. We'll get to that in a moment, but I want to ask you a question, and I hope you take it the right way. Is there any part of you that looks back on the summer and is still a little disappointed? Because it was obviously a fantastic start in January, and you got out the gate in front of your home crowd. Wonderful performance at Royal Queensland, record-breaking performance at Royal Queensland. But I think knowing you, as we have come to do across a couple of chats, it strikes me as there would have been a tinge of disappointment that you didn't necessarily follow it up with another victory. And I wonder if that leaves you hungry. So like you've achieved a wonderful thing. It's opened up so many doors, but maybe it's been a benefit or a blessing in a sense that you're going to go onto these things now, knowing that there's plenty left in the tank and hungry for more.
Yeah. I think the emotions and the heights that I felt at the PGA has just been something that's been so difficult to back up. Like it's how I played that week and how I begin to see myself as a golfer that week was just in a league I'd never really have thought of myself of, and it was just an amazing thing to tap into, I think. And all golfers would tell you it's pretty hard to back up a win, and I just felt, especially for me in that situation, I had one good finish before that, like pretty much the week before, and in Jeff Ogilvy's event on the Sandbelt. But the 2 weeks prior, I'd missed the cut, and to come into that week not really in the greatest form, but I don't know, just was fortunate I was at my home track and played the way I did and hold the amount of putts that I did. It definitely, there's a couple, like missing the cut the week after, I didn't really care about because I was not in a state to play golf, and I look back and I definitely should have taken that week off and not put that mark against my name essentially. But it's something I've learned about, and that, like, just basically I'm just fortunate to be in that position to have learned these things so early on in my career, and the expectations that you do put on yourself, and that is so hard to meet, like after something like that, because you expect bullshit things of yourself, and you just like you can't do it unless you're Tiger Woods. So you just kind of got to tone it back, and I've finally been able to tone it back and come back to reality. But there's been a couple of more solid performances in there. Like, obviously played pretty good in the WPGA and then played decent at Hunter Valley and stuff like that. So, made a few cuts in a row now, which is nice. And, so I guess there's a couple of things that I'd, definitely look back and thought, wish I did it a bit different, wish I expected a bit less of myself after that type of stuff. And, but it's all good stuff learning forward, and just lucky I had, I guess, I had the only $1 million event and managed to get that check, which was nice.
So I look at the doors that it opens, right? And I see two things. I see security, which is a nice thing for you when you look at the full card of the DP World Tour, and then of course the exemption to the final stage of Q School for the Corn Ferry Tour, and then I see experiences. So could you imagine in your wildest dreams that you'd have an opportunity to play in the 150th Open Championship at St Andrews?
Yeah, no, I didn't. So, like, it's funny that I didn't actually know that I got to start in the British, because a lot of people were asking me, and they're like, "Oh, you get a start?" And I'm like, "No, I've never heard anything about it." And then Dimmy Papadatas, good mate, he told me that I got to start. There's already an exemption category put in place for it, which is nice. And just to be able to go there, like I've been there twice, and it is a magic place. Like, it possesses like magic, that place, and it's much way beyond just around a golf plan there. It's so good. I don't know if you boys have had the chance to go there, but it's something else. And then just to be able to play the 150th there is like just something I'm like beyond thankful for. And I don't know who I had looking over me to get that across the line, but I'm fucking thankful for it. That's for sure.
How do you? It's a weird one, Jed. But like, how do you manage expectations now? Right, like you're going over and playing in the US Open, you're going over and playing in the Open Championship, and like I'm keen to get your perspective on how you enter those tournaments. Right, like everyone in that field would love to win the US Open or the Open Championship, but like, how do you actually temper your expectation, knowing that you're going up against the world's best? Now you're going up against the world number one. Like Aussie PGA was amazing and incredible. And you absolutely deserved it. But now this is a new level again. How do you manage all that?
It's something I just do a lot of work on with, I guess, my psychologist, and just talking back and forth with him. He's I think over the last few years working with him, the techniques we've managed to, I guess, stick to, like, I wouldn't say they're finally falling into place or anything like that. I don't really believe in shit like that. But the techniques I'm finally becoming pretty good at, I think, and that's what's helping a lot with the expectations. And it's just like, he always talks about perspective on shit like that, and he understands that you obviously want to do well, and you obviously want to perform and take it to the world's best and stuff like that, but that stuff takes time, and it takes a lot of effort and a lot of attention to detail, sort of thing. And yeah, I don't know, it's almost like the less you try and make it happen, the better it happens, sort of thing. Like, I know it's obviously always it's referred to a lot, but the PGA, I obviously focus a lot, but I didn't try and make shit happen. I just focused on wanting to, like, I guess, do it, and it just happened in a way. Like, I never would have scripted I'd make that many bloody putts and in the way I play. But yeah, I just think it's something that you see how bad I am at giving advice with this. I don't fucking know where I've gone. But yeah, it is a hard thing. It's because you want to do so well. But I guess if you find something that you believe in that helps you take your attention off of those expectations and use them in the correct way, you can definitely manage anything. That's for sure. Sorry, that was a shocking answer, but yeah.
No, it really wasn't.
We got there.
It's a tough question to kind of.
Yeah, it is. It's like it's a crazy topic. It's such a personal topic, I think, with people. Yeah. Some guys want to expect so much of themselves, and can get quite miserable. And that's how I've gotten that way sometimes. And like, you expect so much, and you want it so bad, you just get in your own way.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
I think you just got to learn whatever it takes, like just how to get out of your own way and don't fucking look back.
Yeah. One of the biggest things, I think, just looking back at some of the stuff that you've earned this year as well, is that exemption to the final stage of Q School of the Corn Ferry Tour. I think people perhaps don't appreciate that as significantly as it is. Like, the DP World Tour card is enormous. Don't get me wrong, and the entries to the majors, but to get through those first couple of stages of Corn Ferry Q School without having to lift a finger is enormous, because they're some of the toughest golf that anyone has to play. Is that sort of, obviously that's sort of the path that you want to take, is that PGA Tour? So I guess, is that Corn Ferry Tour Q School final stage really in the sights now? Yeah,
well, last year there was a few of us boys over there trying to obviously go through stages of Corn Ferry, and unfortunately we all missed. I ended up missing it by one, and that hurt quite a bit. And I remember just being so pissed off. And like, just, you kind of got to go, like, what's next? What are we going to next? Unfortunately, I was in good hands in terms of my team and family, that you just focus on those things. But yeah, that definitely is a pathway that I want to take, for sure. It's important for your visa, obviously, for the US, that you can get a P1 visa and get in and out of there for kind of 10 years. And obviously, the quicker the pathway is, I guess, to the PGA Tour, the better. So I'm open to both avenues. Yeah, definitely.
So then, how do you map your year out? You flagged it before and said it's pretty busy, but there's so many competing priorities, right? I mean, if you work back from final stage of Corn Ferry Q School, you want to be in the States for a period of time to make sure you're fresh and you're warm going into that. Yeah. You want to play enough on the DP World Tour to ensure that you maintain your card, if that's necessary. That's something you want to do next year. You want to be making sure that you get into Scotland a little bit ahead. I'm sure maybe play the week before or the week before that. Similarly with Brookline and the US Open, you probably want to be going into that a bit of form. So I'd say the Qantas frequent fly miles will be getting a good bash in the year coming up.
I've been trying to get gold for 3 years now.
You fucking platinum by the end of the year.
I haven't seemed to get it. I hope I get to platinum by the end of the year, so we make it all worth it. But
even I'm gold. Even I'm gold. Gold velocity, yeah.
Mate, it is the hardest thing to do. You pay those bastards so much money and you just get nothing for it, do you? Unless you spend the big coin and go overseas. But it's like it'll be good. So I can't wait for it.
What's it looking like from here? Like, have you kind of got a rough plan? Is it pretty detailed? Are you just going to try and maybe go through the first 2 months and see where you're at and then go from there? How are you kind of approaching the
so the next 2 months are pretty packed. Like, fortunately, I got an invitation into the Memorial, which is 2 weeks before the US Open. My manager ended up being able to do that, which I'm very thankful for. Didn't know if it was going to happen, but Jack, obviously Jack Nicklaus, he favours a lot of Australian golfers and he's favoured the PGA champion a few times. So I'm grateful for that opportunity because that's a couple of weeks beforehand. So basically I'll be there for that and then, roll into the US Open pretty nicely. And then there's 2 weeks basically between, I guess, the US or 3 weeks between the US Open and the British, and I'll go to Scotland a few weeks before and or a week before at least, play there, play the British, and then there's a couple of European Tour events after that, which I'm playing into, which should be nice. So there's about, I guess, 6 of the 8 weeks have got some golf in it, which is nice.
And who from your team are you taking over, Jed? I mean, keen to understand that. Obviously, you probably don't want to venture into this big new.
And how many spaces are left? I think
Yeah. So my sports psychologist, he's coming over because he works with Cam as well. So it's kind of and a few other guys on the PGA Tour. So he it's kind of a few birds in one stone sort of thing. So he'll be coming. My coach unfortunately can't make it at this point, just to a few personal things that are going on, and my girlfriend will probably come over. Mum and Dad will come over for hopefully both of the majors, and my girlfriend will come for both of the majors, which would be nice. And a good mate of mine's going to caddy for the first few weeks, and then take it from there, play it by ear. So I'm definitely new to going all these different sort of countries back and forth. So
if you need a caddy, I'm here, mate. I caddied for Mika at the WA Open, so that was a bit of fun.
Oh, did you?
I did. That would have been good. Hey, quick one. We did see through the media traps that you're going to play in one of the Live Golf Invitational events out in England.
What are you? I think we saw speculation. Nothing confirmed from the horse's mouth, and we don't like speculation.
Going on there, isn't there?
Yeah, we don't like speculation on this podcast.
I mean, what I would say before you answer that is like, there's no judgment from this podcast because there's a lot of speculation and a lot of rumor out there. But I think obviously having been on the ground at the WA Open last week and having some really good and honest chats with guys that we've had on the show and guys we haven't, there isn't a guy on the Aussie tour that wouldn't accept an invitation at this point in time.
Exactly.
Right? Like you'd be stupid not to. I think clearly when you're in the top 10 of the world, if you're then considering it, I think it's certainly a different conversation. But I guess rounding back to it, obviously name linked with a bit of Live Golf Invitational stuff out in London, which is exciting for you.
Yeah, I mean it's obviously still being considered whether what are we going to do moving forward and what I guess is going to be the best thing and provide the best opportunities for me and the best pathway. So,
financially though, it's a fucking great decision.
Oh, mate, like you've answered your own question. Like it's and I just don't know enough about it. Like no one does. It's kind of been like quite a secretive thing. It's still none of the fields have been released or anything like that. People don't know anything about it. So it's hard to comment on such a private thing. And but the money that they're putting up is absurd, like absolutely absurd.
165K for last place, like that's more than
That's
you
a
collected.
joke. Like,
That's more than you
what
collected at the
opportunity have
Aussie
you ever
PGA,
had?
right?
Yeah.
Really?
Well, yeah, pretty much close to.
Yeah.
And I had to go through the stress to win the bloody thing, let alone come last. So it's kind of, it's one of the questions is everyone can answer it themselves, what everyone's decisions would be, because they know, everyone knows exactly what they're going to do if they presented the opportunity. But as I said, yeah, it's still obviously being considered, and you just, I mean, with something you don't know too much about, you've always got to tread carefully. And yeah, I've just got to rely on my team and shit like that, and make hopefully the discussions and stuff like that will point us in the right direction. So
just one more on that, Jed. It's more out of curiosity than anything else, but
yeah,
I think the picture that's painted of the format and the tournament and the group publicly may well be very different to the picture behind the scenes. So I'm curious, how does the invitation come about? Is it, do we literally have the shark on the phone calling around saying, do you want to come in the tournament? Is it some sort of enigma communication out of the kingdom back in Saudi Arabia? It's just, it all seems very smoke and mirrors about how they're kind of going about inviting people even to play in the tournament.
Yeah. It's, so basically I think they're just using the Asian Tour as a platform, is how I've gotten an invite anyway. I'm not sure what they're going to do now in terms of, obviously now the order merit's sorted, so the second spot, obviously Windred now gets that. I'm not sure what he has to sort out with the European Tour or anything like to be able to play or anything, because there's all just, all different types of scenarios. But yeah, I think from my understanding is they're using the Asian Tour as a platform because they now own that, obviously. And so yeah, I just received an email from the Asian Tour, this weird email, and a few exemption categories that went along with it. So obviously the top two in Australia, top two are basically on every tour in the world gets to start with, and the top 15 on their order of merit, plus the top finisher from the year before, is all I know. And then the following spots essentially are made up by their committee. So I've not heard from Greg himself, but so unfortunately.
Well, Greg, if you're listening, if you want to get him across the line, I think it's a simple phone call.
I doubt he's listening.
Queenslander to Queenslander.
That'd be nice.
Third leg Greg, give him a call, something.
Third leg Greg.
The big fella. Mate, just finally, I probably wanted to lift field. I'm sure you got a bunch of messages in the last week. Was there anything that surprised you? Did anyone slip into your DMs or flick your text or give you a call and say congratulations? Oh shit, I didn't know you would have been aware or watching. anyone that you want to drop a name here or just something?
There's a couple of cool messages. Obviously, I mean, not too much out of the blue. I guess one chick messaged me actually.
Jesus, okay.
This will be good.
Where are we going here?
No, it's not that special. It's honestly a bloke that I knew in the US, and his cousin seems like his cousin messaged me, and it's a girl, and she said, "Hi, my cousin, he told me to say hi." And I was like, why the fuck would he have told you to do that? That was weird. I mean, I don't get too many weird messages. I'm not that interesting for people to message me or anything, but I thought that was weird because I haven't spoken to him in 3 years or so. I stayed with him as a host family, and he's told his cousin to message me. That's a bit fucking weird.
Fascinating. I'm glad because I was going to say, I know Ellie's one of our great listeners, big fan of the podcast, so she'd be listening to this.
I know. I had to be careful what I said then. So
that's exactly right.
Also, hold on, sorry. She also manages your Instagram account as well, mate. So
she saw that message first, and she goes, "Who's this?" I was like, she goes, "Who's Jacob?" And I was like, "What?" And she goes, "Some chick just messaged you saying, my cousin Jacob, he told me to say hi." I was like, "What the fuck?" I just did. And then, don't know. So that's probably the weirdest one I got. I got a lot of good messages and stuff, but it was nice and a lot of cool people. So very, very grateful to receive them. That's for sure.
Man, I think we said it when we spoke to you after the win at Royal Queensland, but it kind of feels like a proud parent moment for us to see you go on and obviously be crowned the Order of Merit winner. Outstanding summer, and I think it's clear that the best is yet to come. So very much looking forward to keeping an eye on your progress, not only through yours, we'll live vicariously through your beautiful mum Julie's Instagram account. I'm sure she'll be all up in your grill overseas.
Yeah, she knows
So good on you, Jules. We'll be looking forward to that. We'll continue to correspond with Ellie as she traverses across the planet, and hopefully, I'm going to set this as a goal. I'm going to put it out into the universe, and mainly because you're here and you can't say no now. But I think the next time we'll have you on will be our Open Championship preview pod, and I'd like to get you on the course at St Andrews, joining us. Not in play, maybe like a practice round or the end of a practice round, or just take a fucking walk down to the course and have it in the background. I want to say when we're previewing St Andrews that St Andrews is on the podcast. That's my plan.
Yeah, no, we can make that happen. Don't worry. I'll be there well and truly before it, so we can maybe do it before the tournament week.
Just put it in the can. No one's listening to this. They won't know. It's fine. Don't worry about it. Just put it in the can.
Yeah, no,
also,
I'll be on there quite early. So
great to see you wearing two of the great Australian brands tonight, Ringers Western and the 19th Tee podcast, which is awesome. Yeah. That's great.
Where'd you find this little bloke?
Great story. Some friends of ours at Sandbuilt Studios actually did that for us. Gee whiz, Marshy, going back early days.
Yeah, probably close to 2 years ago now.
Yeah,
we gave them a little brief about what we think this podcast is about, and that's what they came back with. Old mate in his pluggers and, the sling bag over the back and holding a can, playing a bit of golf. So it's pretty much, I think, the perfect encapsulation of what we're all about.
Yeah. I guess one other thing I would obviously like to say, and I would just want to obviously congratulate everybody that was involved in making that season happen, like the Order of Merit and stuff like that, because it was a jam-packed summer, and it went back to back to back to back to back. And obviously there was only probably 2 weeks out of the 14, that were pretty much free and no one had to play or work. And obviously congratulations to the rest of the other finishers and stuff like that. They did a phenomenal job. And yeah, just a crazy ride it was, that's for sure. And none of us thought it would happen, and we're just thankful that it did happen.
Absolutely, mate. I think that's very well said. Ultimately, your name will go down at the top, but it's taken an awful lot of people to get it off the ground and make it work. So
yeah, definitely.
It's been
a lot of good players in the making of that, that's for sure, and a lot of good staff. So congratulations, I guess, to everybody.
Well, Jed, it's been a pleasure, mate. As always, thank you for taking the time. Best of luck for the next couple of months, and we'll be keeping a close eye from back home, mate. The pleasure as always. Thanks.
No, that's all good. Drew, you just make sure you keep your head warm.
Thanks, mate. I will.
See you, mate. Cheers.
Righto, boys. Thanks for that.
That was Jed Morgan, Drewster, great friend of the podcast. Wonderful things ahead of that young man this year. Certainly looking forward to keeping our eye on his progress. Of course, joining us is the winner of the Order of Merit. Let's take a look at those that finished behind him. He mentioned Blake Windred a few times there. Also a good friend of this podcast. 2 wins across the summer for Blake. And he finished, obviously, other than missing the cut near the end there, which kind of delivered the win to Jed, he finished with a wet sail. So 7 starts for the summer. For context, Jed had 11. So 7 starts, $125,000. He obviously finishes, 65,000 behind Jed, but 4 less starts. And a good finish for Blake Windred. I know he'll likely head back to Europe and go again there, but good to see him come back and find a bit of form on home soil.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, he's a genuine talent, as we know. Won the Vic PGA, which was his biggest win of the season, and also spent a bit of time over on the Challenge Tour and the DP World Tour as well. He had 4 weeks there in the middle of the season, which was great. So, a couple of seconds, New South Wales Open down at the National as well. So, yeah, he's a good talent, Blake. Like I think Europe's going to really suit him quite well. But it'll be a fascinating watch to see how he goes over there, and hopefully he's a winner. We'd love to have him back on.
Andrew Dodd finished about 12 grand behind Blake in third. Also 7 starts. Of course, finished second to Jed at the PGA, which was really the bedrock of his Order of Merit run. Not the youngest in this field that we'll go through, but had a wonderful and consistent summer when he did Andrew Dodd. And he was, as I'm doing the maths, about $1,250 ahead of the 4th placed Dimitrios Papadakis, who finished in 4th. So a good, strong summer from Dimmy. himself, having played a few months alongside Blake Windred in Europe before heading home and stringing together a number of good performances.
Yeah, winner of the Vic Open there. What I would say about Andrew Dote is I think Andrew Dote's season is one of the great arguments for having a points-based order of merit. To spend so long in Asia and still finish second seems a little underwhelming for Andrew. But look, you can only play what's in front of you, and he's certainly done that, and he'll take every post winner, I'm sure, in his stride over there in Europe. Dimmy, as you mentioned, winner of the Vic Open, was really fantastic. That was the pillar of his win. He started the season pretty slowly. I mean, T49 at the Aussie PGA, Queensland PGA in the 40s again, and then TPS Victoria was T39. So the form coming into the Vic Open was certainly not there for Dimmy, and then he really turned things around there. Went first T13, T14, T8, T9. Missed a cut, but then finished T9 over here in WA again. So finishes the season ranked 303 in the world. So not too bad for Dimmy. I would suggest. He'll be disappointed though to be in fourth.
About 10 grand behind Dimmy in fifth place. Great friend of this podcast. We've got a few finishing here in the top 10, which is wonderful to see. Aaron Pike, a real grinding season for Pikey. 14 starts. He ends up with just short of $101,000 in the Skyrocket. Pikey, you'll remember, it started with an absolute flashbang at the PGA. He was the clubhouse leader there for a period of time in the first round. I think he was one off the lead after the completion of the first round. And we thought, here we go, back Pike, the remainder of the summer. Probably fell short of his own lofty expectations of himself, but wonderful to see him back in fifth place on the order of merit. Obviously a winner multiple times on the Australian PGA Tour, and I'm sure that will build some confidence to go back to a couple of Q schools at the back end of the year, whether that's Europe or Asia or wherever he ends up going for Pikey. He comes off a good run of form here at home.
Yeah, I think, a pretty consistent season all round from Pikey. Ultimately, I mean, missed a couple of cuts throughout the year. I think counting back here, he only missed 3. But the rest of it, other than that, his worst finish was a T44, and that was at the New South Wales Open. So, other than that, he was pretty consistent across the course of the year. Had that win out at Hunter Valley, which was great, and obviously chatting to him afterwards was something that we really enjoyed as well. So yeah, like you say, I think he will be disappointed with where he's kind of ended up, but a couple of shots either way, and he could have easily been in that third place.
And then we drop down to, in sixth place, Louis Dobbler. Of course, great mates with Jed Morgan and a player on the rise. He finishes quite literally like $600 ahead of Anthony Quayle. And so Louis, I suppose the difference here, Quayle had a win, didn't he, across the summer?
Yes, won the Queensland PGA.
That's correct, for a second time.
No, sorry, Queensland Open maybe? Or Queensland PGA, one of the two. I can't remember. He
PGA.
won one. Yes, it was a Queensland PGA.
Week after the PGA Championship, Louis did not have a win, but a series of consistent performances, bunch of top tens. Obviously played quite well at the Australian PGA, falling a few short of his mate, as did the remainder of the field. Yeah. But a good summer for Louis and for Quayle as well, for that matter.
Yeah, obviously spent those couple of weeks over in on the Latino tour as well, so missed out a few shots there. His card's obviously secured there. So Louis, as we spoke to him, I think earlier in the year as well, he had plenty of options on the table, put it that way. So yeah, I don't know. It's hard. Louis was a hard one to gauge. I know, obviously over here at the WA Open as well, he had an injury that he was working with his finger, was pretty busted up. So to finish T37 there was a good result, but a couple of missed cuts there that I reckon he'll be certainly disappointed with. But yeah, like you say, he got a lot of his legwork done out the front there at the Aussie PGA, Queensland PGA, and then really good at the Hunter Valley event as well. So excited to see where Louis goes, to be honest, mate.
As am I, Druids, as am I. I think it'd be really interesting to see. Obviously, he'll go back to the Latino America tour where he has the exemptions in the card, as you say, and I'm sure he'll be heading back to Corn Ferry to a Cure School at the end of the year. So
Yep.
let's keep an eye on that. Dropping down to 8th, last year's winner, Brad Kennedy. And then rounding out the field, two relevant names. Austin Batista, relevant because he's jumped up into the top 10 courtesy of winning the final tournament of the year across the weekend and the best trophy, not just in Australian golf, but potentially in world golf, as you often tell us at the NT PGA. And then our man. So some of the messages you were sending me during your caddying stint at the WA Open, specific to the Gale Force, were amongst the funniest messages I've received in some time. I think, was it the second day where it was absolutely pissing down with rain? And
might have been
a message saying, teaming down here, everyone bar one person in the clubhouse. This person's been out on the putting green for the past hour. Can you have one guess who it might be? And you needn't have said any more. It was only ever going to be Daniel Gale.
Yeah. Look, yeah, he has worked so hard this year, and I was actually having a conversation. I won't say with who it was, but they said that Gailey should have won the Order of Merit this year. He's been the most consistent and the best golfer across the course of the year, and I guess that kind of goes to the conversation that we have mentioned a few times around the points-based Order of Merit. But, you know, looking back at his season, T12 at the Aussie PGA, second at the Queensland PGA, T2 at the TPS Victoria, missed at the Vic Open, miscut, T13, miscut, T19, T14, T24, T19, T6, T16. Like, he has been outstanding this year. And, you know, his world rankings really jumped up from the start of the season. He came in at around the 1,500 mark, and he's at 470th at the moment. So he's had a really good year. Probably, I guess you could say, one of his best on record, despite not having a win. So I did say that he was going to win before the year was out, which is I'm sure he would be as disappointed as I am, mate. So
well, I was literally just about to say we both did. We both told people to take it to the bank, and the only thing that I'm surprised about is that he hasn't. Like, I'm not surprised at all where he's finished. In fact, probably deserves, as you said, to finish a little higher. I'm not surprised at all with the absurdly consistent performances. And I think if there's one criticism of Gailey, it's still the gap between his best and his worst. I can't remember the day. There was a tournament he was on. We spoke about it. He was on 59 watch. I think he ended up at 61. And parred the last 2 or 3, or might have gone bogey par to finish. It might have been the Hunter Valley. Anyway, we'll get lost. And I said we often talk about the Jesse Mendoza of the PGA Tour, and undisputedly that's Justin Thomas, but Gailey might be the Jesse Mendoza of world golf. Like, when he's on, I don't know that there is anyone. Like, Gailey's best might be better than anyone else on the PGA Tour of Australasia.
Yeah,
but he has some shockers.
Yeah.
And I think if he can just condense the gap between his best and his worst, which sounds absurd for a person who is as consistent as he is, but if he can just continue to narrow that gap, he'll end up turning a lot of those T10s, T5s into wins.
Yeah. And look, you know, talking to him over here in Perth, he's acutely aware of that too. He absolutely knows. He
more than anyone else, I would have thought he'd be well across it.
He puts some ridiculous pressures on himself, does Gailey. You know, he's trained so hard, and he absolutely deserved a win this year. So certainly disappointing for him. He's got a massive schedule coming up as well. He's going to head over to Corn Ferry Q School as well. I believe he is also exempt into the final stage, which is, if he's listening to this, he might very well be, but I believe it's into the final stage, which is massive for him. So he's got some really exciting stuff on the horizon, and yeah, his best golf is good enough to mix it with anyone. So certainly looking forward to seeing him. I just did want to make mention very quickly of Austin Batista before we move on, unless you had anything else on Daniel Gale. No. Yeah. Austin Batista, obviously the winner of the NT PGA Championship, as you mentioned, but that's probably been coming for a little while. He sort of rose to ascension very quickly earlier this year. He finished T8 in the TPS Victoria, then followed that up with a T15 at the Vic Open, T3 at the Murray River, and T3 at TPS Sydney. A couple of lean weeks. Came back over here in WA and finished outright second at the WA PGA. Jay McKenzie was the winner of that. That was a really enthralling final round. And then T21 at the WA Open, where I think he was pretty close to the lead after the first couple of rounds. So can play Austin Batista. A little on the slow side of things as far as play. I did count one shot watching the WPGA Championship taking about 95 seconds for a putt, which is a bit long for me.
For anyone.
Yeah, but look, he can certainly play. There's not much of him. He's a very Abe Answer type build, but can certainly hit a ball and is uber consistent as well. So he's a player to watch. I genuinely think he's a player to watch. He's he can hit a ball, and I'm looking forward to watching a bit more of him next year if he quickens things up a little.
Little bit more pace. Drew, so just on the women's side as well, of course, we had a fantastic summer on the WPGA side. Sue O kind of headlined that with her win at Royal Queensland when the WPGA Championship was played concurrently with the PGA Championship. We've seen some wonderful victories. Kirsten Rudgley springs to mind at the Athena, which was a great tournament. We've seen the emergence of some players. Cassie Porter, probably first and foremost for me, jumps to mind. We had a great chat with her a few weeks back. Grace Kimmy, wonderful. Karis Davidson, some outstanding performances. Steph Bunky, I think, particularly at the back end of the summer, has done an outstanding job. And just some great events. A couple of those that I've rattled off. The New South Wales Women's Open most recently up at Tweed Heads attracted a quality international field, to be fair. And obviously most recently the Bonneville tournament as well, the Ladies European Tour. So wonderful to see women's golf. We've often said that I think the crop of young female golfers come through, certainly in my mind, usurps that of the males here in Australia, which is saying something because we've got an outstanding graduating class of young male golfers as well. So on both sides of the equation, Australian golf's in great hands moving forward. And I think it's been a wonderful summer of women's golf as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Very well put. And of course, that's obviously going to get better as well with the Aussie Open playing, men's and women's alongside each other, which I touched on last week, which is great. So no, it's been a very, very good summer of women's golf. Great summer of golf all round. I did want to make mention at some point, and this probably seems like an apt point, that we do absolutely have to take our hat off to the tour. I think they've done a phenomenal job. We have been highly critical of them in the past, but to obviously Gavin Kirkman and his team of Nick Dasty and everyone that's in that building to put on the schedule that they have this year. And I guess for them to pivot, to use a highly overused word in the past 24 months.
Saturated.
For them to pivot around obviously the New Zealand events being cancelled, to put on the event at the Nash like they did. Like they've done an amazing job this year, and I think they deserve a massive pat on the back, as you heard Jed say it at the back of his interview there. So I think obviously to Gavin and Nick particularly, those two have done a great job in getting the season off the ground. So I know people like us hanging shit on the tour, but they absolutely deserve credit where credit's due, because they've done some really, really good things this year. And I think that's been recognised by the players as well. So,
and what I'll say is, I mean, to your point, I know that potentially people who've been listening to us for an extended period of time may well be shaking their phone just to make sure that they've heard us correctly, given the track record of comments on the record from ourselves about the tour. I have said and maintain always that we want the same thing, ironically. We wish for the same outcome, and that's for the game of golf to go from strength to strength in this country. Sure, we've disagreed with the process and the methods more recently, but even the most subjective view of the situation couldn't stand back and have anything but praise for the way in which they've run this summer. I think, for a strong period of time, I call for them to start doing the job of a member organisation that's looking after their members and be only concerned about that. And again, the most subjective viewer could not argue that that's all they've done this summer, and putting on an incredibly packed schedule for their members. So they deserve the utmost praise, Drews. I truly hope that this is the start of something bigger right? Because we've laid a precedent, we've set a standard now. A wonderful announcement. Obviously, I wasn't here last week. I know you covered it. Wonderful announcement with the Australian Open moving forward and the commitment to the Sandbelt, the commitment to playing men's and women's game alongside each other. And hopefully that will be the cornerstone of what's to come next summer. Obviously, the PGA, WPGA heading back to Royal Queensland, borders opening up, attracting players, the status recognised by the DP World Tour for those two events. I think this is a platform and a springboard, and they deserve all the credit in the world, the tour, and hopefully it's a sign of things to come.
Yeah, and the TPS for me has been significant too. You know, we sort of touched on it when it kind of got launched, whether it was just a sort of a gap, I guess, to bridge the gap during COVID. It's certainly been anything but that. It's been something that they've implemented long term, which is exciting. Obviously, there's a few little things that we'd like to see tweaked about it, but there's always tweaks and changes. And the only other one that I wanted to credit them for as well was just the broadcast deal that they got done as well, to have golf on Fox KO every second week or just about every week during the height of it was something that is going to be so vitally important to the future of the tour and the fan having access to golf at a pretty steady rate throughout the season is something that's going to be massive for them, hold them in really good stead. And I know, speaking to a few players last week, that they're super pumped about the broadcast deal because they know that the flow-on effects of what it's going to bring in terms of commercial revenue, in terms of viewership, in terms of getting people out to courses to watch events is going to be significant. So they've done a bloody good job to get that deal over the line, and couldn't be more full of praise of them, for what they've delivered in the 21-22 wraparound season. That is the new wraparound season.
The new norm.
Yeah,
the new norm.
The new norm.
Do you have, and there's a purpose for me asking this question, do you have a highlight when you reflect on the summer Droods?
Look, there's a few that really stand out to me. I think Pikey's win was something that really resonated with me. I don't know why. It was just a grind of a win for him. He's such a lovable guy as well, that someone that we've obviously come to know and love. So certainly that. From a very selfish point of view, if I can, caddying for Mika was a lot of fun. I know we're going to have him on hopefully next week or the week after to kind of review that WA Open. But that was incredible, and I know that certainly would have happened without having this platform that we do. So that's one. But all in all, Hannah Green winning, the first mixed event. All in all, I really, really find it hard just to go past Jed's win at the Aussie PGA. Like, I know it's a very cliched and very easy answer, but the way in which he did it and the way in which he was received and loved off the back of that was something that I don't think that we've seen in Australian golf for quite some time. So I'm probably going to side there. I know it's a very easy answer, and I'm sure you've got a far more intellectual answer than I do. But I'll side with Jed. Where did you land?
Oh, just before I do that, I think it's telling if you just kind of reflect on all that you've just said, that we as sporting fans, golfing fans, more often than not invest in the individual and invest in the person, right? Mm-hmm. So, Pikey's win resonates with you because we love Pikey. Hannah Green's win resonates with you because it makes history, and she's a wonderful ambassador for the game and for golf in this country on the international stage. And I think Jed's win resonates because, and I remember it, quite vividly, right? Like, he went this, 54-hole lead by a stupid amount, and it felt inevitable, but then came out the next morning. I think he may have birdied the first. And from then on, it was almost like a coronation, right? And the momentum that built on his home course, when you've got such a unique individual, in many ways an individual that jars with the game and its traditions.
Yeah, which is cool.
That's so cool. So cool. but when you spend any amount of time with him at all, has such a profound respect for the game and love of the game.
Yeah.
And so I think when you combine all of those factors, like those last couple of holes, the walk, he knew he had. Very rarely do you have someone win for the first time as a pro, have the opportunity to appreciate the moment like he did. So I think for all those reasons, it's definitely right up there for me. And I think the relationship that we've built with him since has only reinforced that. He's an outstanding young man. I've got so much time for Jed, and hope to see him achieve great things on the world stage. It's a really long way to get into my highlight. It won't surprise you in the slightest that I've gone more of a vibe than a moment. It's kind of it's Marbo. It's just
vibe.
It's just the vibe. And for me, what really stood out, I think, was the unmistakable emergence of the next generation this summer. So often our summers have been highlighted by big names coming back, right? Scott, Smith, Leishman, the occasional international, Abe Ancer came down here and won a national championship. Harold Varner's come down and won a PGA. So it's always been populated by someone, whether homegrown or otherwise, coming here. And this summer had the very distinct inverse flavour. It's been the emergence of, whether it's people early in their professional careers, Jed, Louis, Elvis Smiley. On the flip side, we mentioned Cassie Porter. He's had an incredible summer. Grace Kim, Karis Davison, or even unmistakably, particularly in the back half, probably the last 3 months, the emergence of the amateurs, which is, the next wave again. This is Jed will be 3 or 4 years into his pro career before, Jeffrey Guan, Josh Greer, those kind of people, Kirsten Rudgley, they start to turn pro and make a name for themselves. So that for me, rather than a single moment, maybe the wave of talent that we've seen kind of really assert themselves on the summer has been, a highlight, most certainly for me.
Yeah, no, it's very well put, and I think it's a great call at the back end there. Jeffrey Guan, his couple of rounds that he put together at the WA Open.
I think I messaged you saying, is Guan playing a different course than the rest of you at Royal Fremantle?
Quite phenomenal. And the first 2 days, sorry, just very quick side note here, but the first 2 days, Mika had was paired up with Doug Klein, who was a very, very good golfer in his own right. I think had 6 under on one day, and a young West Australian amateur named Joseph Buttress. And, Joe didn't have 2 of his best rounds, missed the cut, but he was 16. And for a 16-year-old to be 10, 15 meters behind off the tee against guys like Micheluzzi and Doug Klein, the next generation of talent on this Aussie tour is so strong. And that's what fills me with a lot of confidence about our tour as well, is that we've got some fucking good players coming through the ranks. And our tour is in a really, really good place in terms of talent coming through. So it's a great call out, mate.
Just in conclusion on that point, Druids, it's the Constitution, it's Marbo, it's justice, it's law, it's just the vibe. It's just the vibe.
One of the all-time great movies.
Now, the reason I ask, and we go through that long-winded explanation about what our respective highlights were, don't worry if you're an hour into this and you've missed it. Although I can't imagine why you would have turned off before the Dennis Denuto quote. We'll launch a competition tomorrow.
Yes, tomorrow-ish, in the next few days.
Tomorrow-ish, where we'll throw open the question, what has been your highlight? Slip into the DMs, drop a comment on the post, whatever you'd like to do, giving us your highlight of the summer. You might go a moment, you might go an individual, you might go a vibe. It's really up to you. There will be a pair of Oakley sunglasses on the line for the highlight that we are judged to be the best, or at least that entertains us the most courtesy of our great friends at Oakley, Brad McIntosh and the team there at Oakley. So keep an eye out for that on the social channels. Drop a comment in to enter, and we'll pick a winner, and a pair of Oakley signings will be on the way.
Yeah, well done. Definitely we'll be launching that in the next couple of days when I remember.
A couple of odds and ends to round us off, Drewster. I know you didn't see much of the golf on the weekend from TPC Potomac.
Yeah.
The Wells Fargo. Max Homa wins for the second time that tournament, the fourth time in his career, and the third time since the beginning of last year. So I suppose the question I put to you, my learned colleague, is are you softening at all in your stance on Max Homa?
Well, I think you're setting me up here, because I've never said, and I will, and anyone can go back and listen to every episode. I have never said that I dislike Max Homa. All I said is he needs to spend less time on Twitter and more time on the golf course. And now he's a 4-time PGA Tour winner. I think he can spend time on Twitter. I think it's okay. I'm happy. That's my take on Max Homa. So yeah.
So 4 wins is not nothing.
No, it's massive
career-wise. It elevates him into an echelon, certainly less than the majority of people who've ever played in the PGA Tour, considerably less. I stumbled across this stat as well. I mentioned 4th career win, 2nd Wells Fargo Championship. Now, first was at Quail Hollow, now at TBC Potomac. It's Potomac, isn't it? Not Potomac.
No, Potomac.
TPC Potomac.
Potomac.
Yeah.
Potomac.
Potomac.
MAC. Yeah.
TPC Potomac. So his second win of the Wells Fargo, it's shifted, 4th career, but 3rd since the beginning of last year. So in that time, he has had more worldwide wins than John Rahm, Rory McIlroy, Cam Smith, Xander Schauffele, Jordan Spieth, to name a few. A variety of others who sit on 2 or 1. The only people, so he's won as many tournaments since the beginning of last year as Colin Morikawa, Sam Burns, Hideki Matsuyama. The only people who've won more times than him since the beginning of last year, Patrick Cantlay, Player of the Year last year, 3-time winner.
Yep.
Scott Scheffler, best golfer in the world at the moment.
Andy.
Victor Hovland, handy golfer. The only 3 players to have won more times than Max Homa since the beginning of last year.
Mate, he's playing very well. He's a good look for Pres Cup this year, I reckon.
Very good. So it's a very, very good point you've made. Sits 6th on the points list for the US team. They will select the President's Cup team now in the same manner which they do the Ryder Cup. So 6 automatic selections, 6 captains pick for Davis Love when we head to this Quail Hollow where he's won before. So there you go. For the President's Cup later this year. So that's a win for Max Homa. And then just very briefly, Drew, on the men's European Tour, Thorbjørn Olesen goes eagle birdie to finish and win for the first time since 2018. So there's a name that's reared his head. Again, Thorbjørn Olesen, but a hell of a finish, eagle birdie on 17-18 today to secure. And then just 2 things. Firstly, and not nearly as importantly as a second, but a big thanks to Lucas Michel for sitting in the seat last week. Every time, or should I say each time that he does that, I get a step closer to losing my job. I fear. Genuine triple threat. Can play, can design, can talk.
Yes.
Michelle.
Got some good feedback on that episode too, so that was nice.
I bet you did. Far more than you fucking usually do on a regular weekly basis, I bet. So what I would say to the listeners is change is as good as a holiday. The grass is not always greener. So I think Lucas's quality comes in his scarcity. It's the odd pop-up that makes Lucas so valuable in this podcast. But no, in all seriousness, we are very fortunate at short notice to call on people of Lucas's quality to step in when one of your hardworking and beloved co-hosts has a particularly bad bout of food poisoning.
Not great for you.
No, it's a hell of a week. Thank you to Lucas. And then secondly, Druids, but as I alluded to, far more importantly, people who've been watching the video now for the best part of an hour may notice something different about you this week. There's certainly no flow at the back of your cap as there usually is. No bum part as has become custom for you in the last probably 12 months. That's because it's all gone.
Yes.
In the name of a wonderful cause. So I wonder if you might spend a minute or two telling us about why all your hair's gone.
Yeah. So a couple of months ago, one of our very good friends within our friendship group unfortunately got diagnosed with cancer, and has been undergoing chemotherapy for the past 2 or 3 months, however long the diagnosis has been for. So he's going like an absolute trooper at the moment, which has been fantastic, and he's doing very well. But in support of obviously him, but also in support of all other cancer patients, not just now but previously, and I'm sure unfortunately in the future as well. We decided to band together, me and 4 other mates, to shave our locks in support of the Cancer Council. I had the second longest hair. We did have one longer, which was great. And he actually managed to donate his, which was really good. So I think I was just short of being able to donate mine, unfortunately. But we managed to raise $12,600, which was the last count, which was really we're really appreciative of everyone who has been able to donate. So that's the reason for the bald head. It is a bit cold. I'm starting a new job on Wednesday, so it'll it's all for a very good cause, and we're very thankful to everyone who donated.
And might I say that it's my understanding is the donations are still welcome and still open, Drew.
Yes, they are.
How long will that be the case?
We're going to leave it open to the end of May. So if
Okay.
people do want to donate, maybe we'll pop the link up on a Facebook post or something like that. It can be there on the 19th P page. Otherwise, it's on my Instagram at the moment.
And we might even, I reckon we might even throw it in the bio on the 19th too.
Absolutely.
Let's do that. So it's nice and easy for people if they please. So you've got, 9 May now. So the best part of 22 days remaining to donate to an incredibly worthy cause. And might I just say, mate, that's obviously after you did the longest day earlier in the year. So some very selfless acts on your behalf to support people in need. So well done to you, and
Thank you.
And very proud of your contribution there. Might I also add, I think the new job will probably be more pleased than disappointed. I would have thought with the new look. So
I gotta get, this was the drop dead date. Last Friday was the drop dead date because I've got to get the hair growth back to a respectable level for the wedding in February next year. So
fascinating.
We'll see what it looks like come Feb.
Yes, the countdown is well and truly on for the Drudy nuptials. Looking forward to that in February. Not sure who my plus one's going to be at this stage. The Wizard, obviously doing some great things over in the States at the moment. So the Wiz might be otherwise occupied. I might actually have to bring my wife to your wedding. So Wizard, be in touch. We'll see if we can get you direct on a flight into Perth now that we're allowed back in.
You can have that conversation with your wife, by the way.
Yeah, excellent stuff. Right, that'll probably do us. So next week, you mentioned we're looking to have a chat with David Micheluzzi, who might I also add, he also shaved something off his face, and that was his mustache. So Team Italia from the WA Open is considerably lighter than what it was walking around Royal Fremantle for 4 rounds 2 weekends ago. So
you can ask him about why he did it as well next week when we've got him on. So
I look forward to that, as I do look forward to any answer that Dave Micheluzzi gives. So that's next Monday, and then next week, it's crept up on us, is a major week, Dreads.
It is.
Is it not?
Yes. I think it is next week. I kind of lost track of the...
I think we're headed to Southern Hills for the PGA Championship, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, I got so deep in our tour that I've kind of lost track. So you certainly could be right. I'm trying to pull the schedule up here very quickly.
Well, I can pad.
No, we've got the Yes, you're right. We've got the Byron Nelson this week, and then the PGA at Southern Hills. So
we will have a regularly scheduled major preview next week as well, and then of course wrap it all up the following Monday evening. So plenty on. Keep your eyes and ears peeled.
We're going to find something to talk about now that the Aussie Tour's done for the next handful of months. But it will be back very soon. I believe the season is going to be thrown around a little bit from just a couple of reports on the ground over here, KM. WA will be in the early part of the season next year, I believe, around in that September, October range, which will be
fascinating,
interesting. So looking forward
well,
to that.
it will be back before we know it. And, you know, what I will say is there's plenty of time to do some more interviews, talk to some more people. And obviously we still have 3 majors remaining. So we've got the PGA, and then we've got the Open Championship, and then we've got the US Open from Brookline Country Club. So there's still plenty on. Never fear. And hey, if there's one benefit, it'll give us more time to talk about all that random shit we usually talk about that people love in the last 15 to 20 minutes. The bread and butter. It's where we really make the money. So
that's correct.
Right, Drewster. Pleasure as always, my friends. Great to have a chat with the winner of the 2021-22 Australasian Order of Merit, our good friend Jed Morgan at the top. Trust you enjoyed that one as much as we did, and we'll be back next week. As I said, David Micheluzzi leading the week off, and then our preview of the 2022 PGA Championship from Southern Hills on Thursday evening. Back with you then.